Mexico's playing the United States right now, Jess.
Hell yeah, let's go. Let's go.
So, all right, guys. So we are now live. Welcome to another fantastic episode of This Week in Reselling. We have a great episode today, right, Dustin?
We do. Very exciting episode.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this episode. We have oh, there we go. Let me mute it. We have Jessica with the Geeked Out Collecting podcast. How are you, Jessica?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
It's going. Good. Weekend's almost over with, unfortunately. But
yeah, we need that one more day, like we did last week.
Yep.
So I wanted to, Jessica, have you on just because I'm a big fan of your podcast. The motto of your podcast is where you apply financial and investing principles into hobby collecting, which is great because I feel like that really goes with what we do as resellers and what like the information of like what a collector is looking for is good for a person that is trying to find things to buy and resell, because usually, especially on platforms like eBay, the collectors are that's where they're buying, because I feel like like Dustin and I have spoke about this before. I feel like a reseller, someone that goes out to garage sales and estate sales and things, we're like brokers to where we find those old disregarded items that a collector may want. If it's video games, trading cards, glassware, vintage clothes, or whatever, we're like that middleman. So exactly. Jessica, just real quick, for the people that may not know you, I know, first of all, you guys need to go over and subscribe to her podcast because it's absolutely amazing. She's had some guests like King Pokemon Gary, on there, which is awesome. So she's had some amazing guests on there, just talk about all kinds of collecting stuff. So Jessica, for the people that may not know you, could you give us like a quick little intro and just how the podcast came about, like how long you've been collecting, like how, like why you wanted to start the podcast to, to help people invest and do all that good stuff?
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, thank you guys for letting me be on today. I'm really happy and excited to be here. And just to give a quick info about myself, of course, my name is Jessica. I run a podcast called the Geeked.collecting podcast, where we just talk about hobby collectibles and how we might turn our collections into nest eggs. That's been the most interesting thing to me in terms of collecting, because when I was a kid, in middle school, I collected Pokemon cards, and even at that young of an age, I knew that those cards were valuable. And so other than the fact that I liked collecting them because I played red, blue, yellow, pinball, all the games back then, I liked the collecting aspect, and then I liked the relation to the game aspect. I never really actually played the card game. But I also liked the value aspect of it too. And as an adult, and being exposed to other people within the hobby collectibles. Because first off, I don't have my childhood collection anymore. It's gone. I have no idea where it is. It's probably sold in a garage sale. But back, I want to say maybe 2018, I started collecting Magic the Gathering cards, and I got exposed to a YouTuber called Rudy from Alpha Investments. Okay. And he's really interesting because he used to be a licensed financial professional. And what he did is he decided to leave that life and come into Magic the Gathering collecting. And so, and of course he does a lot of other collecting too, video games, Pokemon, like a whole bunch of different things. And he was the first one that kind of like planted that idea that I could turn this or incorporate it as a part of, a retirement nest egg, which I thought was really cool. And I've just sort of been exploring that since. And I started the podcast because I wanted to meet people throughout the hobby and just learn more. I am not a financial professional in my day job. Normally I'm a developer, so that's a completely different world, right? and even if you and so if you watch like the evolution of my podcast, you can actually see like the level of, you know, my knowledge looking at things from an investing standpoint even change and evolves. But really like the podcast was selfish. It was for me. It was for me to have the opportunity to learn from other people. And it's really great because it's helpful for others because they can actually see like where I was a year ago in terms of my mentality, where I am now, like what mistakes I've made. I'm pretty open about my mistakes, I think, as far as, you know, things that I feel like I overpaid for. And, you know, I may not ever, you know, ROI on, but yeah, kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there. But
no, that's good.
That's awesome.
What's you said that you made a lot of mistakes and you learn from the beginning of your podcast to where you are now. What is something that you just strikes out to you where it's like, man, I wish I would have known that when I was starting compared to where I am now? You know, something that's like, you know, clear as day, like that you can tell all of us so we don't make that mistake.
For sure. So within my journey, I have 2 rules. My first rule is buy sealed and keep it sealed, and don't find a reason to open it, because in the long term, you're probably better off opening. You know, and I learned that from
I'm pointing
Fortnite.
at Dustin because he's addicted to ripping
the Kraken King.
So here's my thing. The great thing about ripping is that that's how you get to learn that set or those cards that are coming out, because you can actually see it and then you can get an idea of the pull rates, right? It's a really great way to learn and expose yourself. So if someone wants that experience, you know, I would say like go ahead and do it, because that's kind of what you want them for. I would say like, okay, if you have 10 boxes of something, maybe just allocate half or maybe 1/4 to that ripping, and hopefully you get that out of your system. Let me tell you, it's addicting. So I get it. I got that out of my system when I was opening like core 2019 Magic the Gathering boxes, boosters. So I got that out of my system. But I mean, I learned that from Fortnite, because Fortnite back in the day in 2019, when they came out at around June or July, you know, I started seeing them popping out at the like Target for $20. It was these mega boxes. It comes with a certain amount of packs, and then there is one pack that has 2 cards in them, which are just like the special crystal shards. So those are the only boxes you could actually get those crystal shard foil cards from. So when I was like I would see them on the shelves and no one was buying them, and so I started buying a few here and there, like whenever I'd see it, buy 1 or 2 boxes, and then I was just ripping them. And I got to the point where I opened about 20 to 24 boxes. I bought them at $20 a pop, right, plus tax or whatever. Those boxes back in March, and I haven't been keeping up with the prices, but we're selling for somewhere around $3,000. And I opened up every single gosh darn one. And no, I didn't pull the Holy Grail. You know, the Holy Grail is like the Crystal Shard Black Knight. I didn't pull that card. So the pull rates in the Series 1s were completely terrible trash. You know, they were harder than sports cards. You know, because like, I don't know, just Panini decided to design it that way. So that's where I learned that from, because literally I could have something like $72,000 worth of product. Like I would sell it and I would put that as a down payment on some property right now. Literally that's what I would do.
Oh, for sure.
So that was my first lesson
nice.
that I learned that I think people could benefit from.
For sure. Keep it sealed. Hear that,
Keep
Dustin? We got a special guest.
That's hard not to keep sealed, though.
We have a special guest popping in. My nephew, Michael Ray. Say hi to the people, buddy.
Hey, Michael.
Say hey, buddy.
He's like, what's going on? Yeah. So if anybody else wants to say hey on YouTube, we got a couple people that saying hey. We have Chris at Peak, which is a good friend on TikTok. He says, hey, Ray, how's it going? And then he goes, you even poke, bro. That's funny. So, Jessica, so that brings us. We're gonna talk. We're definitely gonna talk about Fortnite later on today. So that's gonna be, because I keep telling Dustin, "Hey, man, you need to start investing in you need to start buying Fortnite cards if you see them anywhere." Because I feel like it's a new way. It's a new wave.
Yeah, go see.
Just
for sure.
I know.
Just real quick. So you mentioned Pokemon, you know, your sets in the past and how much you thought they were worth or whatever. For someone that's buying and reselling things, one of the pitfalls that a reseller goes into when they're first getting started is Beanie Babies, because
Oh,
there's like, so the Beanie Babies are really like the prices are like they're all over the board on eBay, sold listings, and I
yeah.
think there's some money laundering going on there.
Mhm.
So we all know that Beanie Babies aren't worth anything. So in your opinion, what classifies, like, what's the difference between Beanie Babies and, let's say, Pokemon cards? Because I know that Dustin and I, we tell people, hey, we like to buy Pokemon cards, hold them or whatever, because they're worth this much. That's what people are actually paying
Go
for
see
it.
mama.
And we're getting them graded, we're investing into them. And they're like, why are you doing that? Because they don't understand it. And I'm sure you've had that conversation with people, how they don't
Mhm.
understand why this isn't even a thing. They're saying it's just going to be like Beanie Babies. Like, in your opinion, what is the difference? And I think I know your answer because I listen to your podcast. So,
Oh, for sure.
the different. So tell us what is so different between the two.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a great one because I literally had this conversation a few months ago with some family. Like, they're literally just the older generation, a generation or two older than me. And, they found out that I collect Pokemon cards, and, they low key judge me for it because I'm in my 30s and I collect Pokemon cards. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, y'all don't even know. but everyone always brings up Beanie Babies, that Pokemon, runs the risk of doing what Beanie Babies did, which is completely flop, go from like $600. What was it for the red bull? I can't think of his name. I remember like that one was worth hundreds of dollars at some point. And you see those memes where like the husband and the wife that are divorcing, they're trying to like split up the Beanie Baby collection, and now it's like just completely worthless. But yeah, so it's really one of the things that we've been seeing, and that we seem to have undervalued this over the past, several decades, is nostalgia and the impact that has on people. And I mean, obviously, Pokemon and where it's at right now is a great example of how nostalgia is really powerful and can make people move huge amounts of money to, connect again with that nostalgia. And when you think of Beanie Baby versus Pokemon, obviously they both have nostalgia, but to the degree of nostalgia is completely different, which is why we see more value within Pokemon compared to Beanie Babies. And part of the reason I would say that Beanie Babies won't crash and die Pokemon will crash and die like Beanie Babies is because of the sheer volume of nostalgia. Beanie Babies back in the day were just like literally beanbag animals with a little bit of flavor text, with some basic information on them. That IP or that brand only hit you as a child from one direction, versus Pokemon, which was a game, then it was a manga, then it was an anime, then it was promo cards, then it was trading cards and toys and movies, and it is an IP that completely engulfed us as children and continue to engulf the newer generations. You were hit, like, if you weren't a video game person, maybe you watched the anime. If you weren't an anime person, maybe you played the cards. There were so many different ways to interact and interact with the brand, and for the brand to bond with children and their parents and those experiences and those memories, that they are not even in the same like universe. They are not even the same solar system. Like, the level of difference of nostalgia and all the different points of contact you had with those brands are just wildly different. And even just looking at the value of the Pokemon brand as it is today, which last time I checked, I think it was something like $90 billion. It is the number one highest grossing IP right now. Beating everyone, right? Everybody, Disney, Marvel, DC, all of it, beating everybody. So with that said, I mean, when you look at Jeremy Padawa is really great. If you haven't,
he's fantastic.
Yeah. And for listeners who haven't absorbed his content, he is really, really good because he talks about, when it comes to collectibles, and it comes to nostalgia, you also want to think of it in terms of like cultural impact, because did that brand or did that IP have any cultural impact? And if so, how were people expressing their connection, I guess, with that brand? Because when you buy collectibles, it's kind of a form of self-expression, right? Because you're buying things that you really care about, that you connect with a lot. Like I really love Machop and Machamp. I really just don't care too much about Machoke, but like I love those Pokemon, and I buy those things because I have a special connection with them. And so when you think about it from like a cultural perspective and a self expression perspective, I mean, they're just completely wildly different. I think there's an article that Jeremy Padower has that does those topics much more justice than I just did. But yeah, that's what I would say. Like the cultural impact is just not even even comparable. It's like apples to, I don't know, leaves.
Yeah.
Comparison.
Yeah. And I think too, that's one of the reasons, like, I know that you just recently had a podcast talking about graded video games. And one of the things that you guys mentioned, where Mario games in general, they're worth so much money, even to a point to where they like mass produce the crap out of those games. So it's not like it's like rare, but it's like people have like that connection with playing those games that it's in high demand. So that kind of touches bases on that. So that brings us to our next segment here, Jess, which I like to call overrated, underrated, where we give you 10 things, and then you tell us in your opinion if they're overrated or underrated. Some of them having to do with what we're talking about, and some of them having to be completely random. So
let's go.
Yeah. So let's get into the first one. And I think my nephew's having I don't know what's going on with him over there. I hope he's okay.
Getting delirious.
Yeah. So, all right. So the first one, overrated or underrated? Modern Pokemon cards.
Man, I don't know if anyone's gonna hate me for this, but I think they're overrated. I'm a vintage collector. Don't at me.
So give us a little reason why you think they're.
I personally don't care for them all that much. So to me, they're overrated. I know that a lot of kids and, a lot of the younger generations, this is like their first touch point with Pokemon. So, it's really great and amazing and exciting. But for me, I just don't care at all. Which, not to say any of the sets are bad per se, but I just have no connection at all with the older generations, probably 5 and up. Like no connection at all. So to me, I'm not really going to spend much on that personally, because I don't care about it. I don't buy things. I don't collect things that I don't care about. I don't really buy things purely from an investment standpoint. I might have things that I'd be willing to sell 2 or 5 years from now. But I have to still like it to some degree. So overrated in my opinion.
That's good. And says the Claire and Elena show says, I agree on overrated. I still have my original 151 and first editions. Ooh, nice.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So the next subject, overrated or underrated, movie theaters.
Overrated. Well, dude, I don't know. I feel like. Okay, so I'm gonna say, can I go in the middle where it's rated fine? Can I do that?
Tell us your reason why.
Okay,
as long as you can defend your reason.
So pre-COVID, I would have said they're overrated because we've got Netflix, like we've got HBO, we've got Hulu, we've got all this shit at home. But now that we're in the midst of COVID and we're starting to open up and it's becoming safer for us to engage in these things, like it's kind of nice to go back and have the experience of being in a movie theater. Not gonna lie, I haven't been to one since pre-COVID, but I'd be open to it, just during the day when you're like the only person there. Maybe bring some friends along. But yeah.
Nice. I know with me, I think for me, I think it's underrated just because, to your point, I have so much nostalgia, like going to a movie theater, that it's like I like have to go to a movie theater to watch like the movies, just because like going to go see Star Wars, just like all those classics, and it's like I have such the nostalgia of having a good time and with my friends, my wife, and going to movie theaters. It's just, to me, it's a little different. So to your point, I think it's a little properly rated, but that's my opinion. So Harvey says love the original ones, and the new Pokemon cards are overrated. Lot of hate for the new Pokemon cards.
Look, what I will say, I know a lot of us feel that they're overrated, but I will say, when I got back into collecting Pokemon cards and looking at the newer sets, I still didn't really care too much to collect them all that much, but I'm really impressed with the textures, the designs, the arts. A lot of them are really nice. Very, very cool. Especially some of the Japanese cards. I don't know enough about the Japanese cards. I need to get more into those. Like on a vintage cards and in the modern cards. I think if I were to collect modern cards, they'd be the Japanese ones.
Dustin and I, we just opened up several Japanese booster packs. Was it yesterday, Dustin?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, of like the Vivid Voltage equivalent of the Japanese.
And
just the quality of them are just like night and day. They're just such better cards.
Seriously. I need to pick up some of the Eevee Heroes. I need to pick up some of those because I'd rip one. I'd keep one, rip one.
Yeah, those are nice to have and hard to get as of right now, even Japan. So Harvey says he came over from TikTok. Heck yeah.
Hey.
Good to see you, Harvey. Make sure to subscribe. So next thing, Jess, excuse me. Overrated, underrated, collecting soccer cards or investing in soccer cards.
Oh man.
Because I know that you have a few in your collection that are pretty nice. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Pure luck, honestly, for those soccer cards. Like purely lucky. I want to say right now, I don't know much about that market, so I don't know how it's really doing. But I would say underrated because we have, a lot of soccer coming up later on this year. So we will possibly see prices push. So I'm gonna say underrated for right now.
Nice. Would you recommend that people start investing in soccer cards?
To be honest, I don't know enough. If you wanted to invest like that, like I would say first thing, buy the things that you want. And if it seems like really expensive, maybe do a lot of research on it to, just to make sure that you're buying something at a good entry point. It's kind of hard to tell with me for soccer cards, but I know Mbappe has been kind of doing a little bit better in the last 3 or so months, or I don't know. Recently he's been doing a lot better, so I know some of his cards have been, performing accordingly, but buy players that you like. I know Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, he's probably going to go down as one of the GOATs of all time. So if you can find some good Ronaldo cards, some that aren't like insanely printed, if you can get a lot of the older cards. I happen to have one from the 2006 UK Traditions, just like I randomly bought from a card lot. So I got lucky as hell. I don't know shit, but do your research. I'm sure there's some other people out there that can give better info than I can.
Nice. So overrated, underrated, McNuggets.
Overrated. I don't eat McDonald's. I haven't eaten McDonald's in like 5 years. I can't do it. I can't do it. With the fact that they can like sit out and stay preserved freaks me out. Like it freaks me out. I can't do it. I don't judge anyone who eats McDonald's, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. What is it, Dustin? We were looking at the other day. Burger King, 10 nuggets for like $1.
$1.49. No.
Sus. It's got to be sus. 10 nuggets.
What kind of chicken?
$1?
Yeah. That's super sus. So here's a good one. Overrated, underrated. Fortnite cards.
Ooh, underrated for sure. 120% underrated. And the reason why I'm gonna say it's underrated is because I feel like we haven't really come into the real I feel like Fortnite cards are still growing. Because I mean they only hit 2 years ago, barely 2 years ago. And so it's still really early on. And I think as long as you, again, manage your entry points, I think you could see a lot of growth with those cards just because, Fortnite is a huge brand. It's been a huge brand. And as, those gamers get older and get more exposure to the cards themselves and just become aware of that, like, I think we can definitely expect to see some growth in that market in the future.
Nice. Grimevine says they're overrated.
Reasons.
So reasons, yeah, for sure. So and they're still at, and we'll talk. I'll save it for our Fortnite conversation because I got a lot to go into that. So overrated, underrated roller coasters.
Oh, underrated! I freaking love roller coasters.
Oh,
I love them.
okay.
I love them. I could go like roller coasters back to back. Like,
Dang.
I haven't been to Six Flags in a few years, but I need to.
Nice. What about you, D?
Nope.
No, he said no.
I've been on roller coasters, but nope.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
We're too big to get beyond roller coasters.
Not a fan. My knees. I'm so tall that it's just so uncomfortable.
Oh,
I can't do it. It hurts my knees.
Yeah. All right. Here's the next one. Graded video games.
Oh man. I'm going to say underrated because listening to people who are a bit smarter than me with graded video games, I still think we're pretty young in the game for that. To really see them pop. I know we're seeing crazy prices. Like, for example, there are some video games, like graded video games, I can only own as a fractional share, on Rally. Do you guys have Rally?
Yeah. No, we don't.
Well, I really like it because you can fractionally own, really expensive things, and video games are some of the ones that when I can, because a lot of the time when something opens up where you can buy those shares, shit sells out so quick. So sometimes it can be really hard to get some, but like the original Duck Hunt with Mario, remember that from the NES? Like, you've got like all of the vintage Pokemon games, like those are going for tens of thousands. I think I think it seems overrated because of the pricing, but I think it might still be underrated for pockets of the market.
Nice. Grimevine says underrated on games, but it's newer, so it'll be huge soon. So I agree.
Yeah.
I think people are just trying. They're now just getting their, like, figuring out. It's like, hey, I can get these games graded. Would you recommend, or just from the people that you talk to, getting newer games graded?
With my conversation with RJ and considering where gaming is moving to, where everything is moving digitally, and these might be the last generations where we'll actually get physical games, even though there's a shit ton of physical games that come out, right? They do not play when it comes. They don't care. They're spitting and printing out and distributing as much as they can. Mm-hmm. But I think there could be something to be said for keeping some of the newer stuff sealed. I think definitely you got to do more research on that. I'm still kind of trying to learn more to have an informed opinion, but I'm kind of leaning towards, as we get into this age where, how would you, what's the word now that I can't think of it? Game preservation. Mm-hmm. is lacking. And as we move to more of the digital where you're licensing games, which I hate, I don't know what y'all's opinions on that, but I always like to buy the physical game because at least I have the physical like CD, even though my PS4 probably will stop working in 5 years because they'll turn off the servers and just bye-bye. But sorry. But yeah, I think there could be something there. I think there could be something there. We just need more research. I need to know more.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, I never thought about how this could be. We're getting close to the last generation of actually having physical games because it's just that easier to just download the game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But I think I would recommend keeping all the Pokemon sealed and then getting it graded down the road. Because
Absolutely.
For sure.
that's always going up in price. So next thing, overrated, underrated boats.
I love boats. I'm going to say underrated. I love going on boats. I love being out on the ocean or whatever, or the sea. It's been a long time. I'm not, obviously, I don't live by a coastal area, so I don't really have much opportunity to get on boats. But, you know, whenever I'm going to, like I have family that live in Puerto Rico, you know, being by boats and being out there and being on the water, I love it. I do get boat sick, seasick. So, but it's like a mind over matter. You just got to.
What about you, D?
I don't mind them. More of a jet ski guy.
More okay.
Wave runner,
jet ski,
all that.
They are fun for
boats,
sure.
Don't mind the boats.
Dustin and I, we both live in the town where we're surrounded by a lake, so we're just like, I can walk to the from where I am right now. So Dustin, Keek, and we can both like walk to it.
Do you guys own a boat? Own some boats?
No, we should.
No, I think it's expensive. That's why I think it's overrated, in my opinion, because of the cost. I feel like I can, you know,
rent,
there's this saying that what is it? A boat owner has two happiest days of his life is when he buys the boat and when he gets rid of the boat. I think that's the saying.
Yeah,
it's something like that. So Grindfine says, I think 80s and 90s stuff is the best investment. It's the new antique. Oh, okay. That's a good perspective. So here's a good one, Jessica. Overrated and underrated. And this is a good one. And this may be the new Beanie Babies. Some people may say this is the new Beanie Babies. Funko Pops.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think Funko Pops are a little overrated. But to be honest, I don't really know that much about them from an investment perspective. I just buy the ones that I like. But I struggle to find the ones that are really valuable. Just because, you know, I know that the shorter print ones are like the ones that you can get at conventions and things like that. But by the time they hit, you know, a Target, well, first off, if you can't get to the convention, by the time they hit the secondary market or a Target, you know, you're already looking at like double or triple what you could have gotten it somewhere else. I think I really don't know where Funko Pops are going to go, only because, I mean, I still feel like they're superior to Beanie Babies just because you can interact with the brand side of it, because you are like you do have that perspective of it. Like I have, you know, Captain America and like Star Wars, Clone Wars, Star Wars level stuff. And those are always going to be really awesome and amazing to me because I can still interact with the brand there. That also has 20 plus more touch points than Beanie Babies ever do. But, you know, that's not to say that they're overpriced right now. I don't actually know that answer, but
yeah, good call. Yeah, I think, and I get frustrated with Funko Pops because, for instance, like the Pokemon Funko Pops, they use the same mold and they just do different versions without having to like put out. It's like I want like a Gengar Funko or just like I want these other ones. It's like, why is there like 50 different kinds of Pikachus in the same mold? You know, it's like put out like, you know, all the different kinds. So this is the last one that we have here. Underrated, overrated. Elvis.
Oh man, people are probably gonna get mad. I think he's overrated. I'm not into the Elvis. I'm not saying he wasn't a bad artist or a performer, but not a fan. So
you can send all your hate messages to at the Geeked Out Collecting podcast on Instagram. All right. So that was fun. Jess, thank you so much for playing our little game here. So the first question, of course, and we already touched bases on it. So, which was investing in trading cards, which you were saying how, you know, we already touched that. So the next question would be the best place to buy trading cards, or for someone like us where we want to either hold something long term and invest it, or buy it to resell it. Like, what is the best place to, like you said, let's not touch bases on modern stuff. What about vintage stuff? You know, what is the best place to get this stuff, in your opinion, just from what you've learned?
Yeah. I mean, I've had success with eBay. For sure. I haven't spent too much time in garage sales and things like that, but I want to spend some time there, I think, over the summer just to see what binders I can find. Just because as I've grown as a collector and grown my skills, I feel a little bit more comfortable buying raw cards and just, being able to price those a little bit better, especially based on the condition, because, you've got people trying to sell busted up, unlimited Charizards for way, way more than they're actually worth. Busted Charizards. We're talking about like only worthy of like authentication.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
PSA. So eBay's always been solid for me. Places I haven't spent as much time, but I have bought some cards from were Mercari. So that's been pretty nice finding some, decent prices. I'm the kind of collector that over time has grown to be a lot more patient than I used to be in the beginning. So when I'm really thinking like, these cards are pushing too high of a price because I think it's too close to that cap, that ceiling of that card. I will wait a really long time to buy a card. Like for example, Sabrina's Gaze, the banned version of the card, the Japanese version. I don't have it right here to show, but I have been looking to grab that card, the Japanese version, for about 8 or so months. And I waited a really long time. I had a lot of different chances to get PSA 10s, but they were just too expensive. They wanted $300. They wanted $270. I mean, and I'm thinking like 120 because like not even because we're looking at huge pops. Yeah, we're looking at huge pops, and I just think that's too close to the ceiling for me personally. So I'm not willing to spend that much money to put towards those cards just because there's so many of them. There are so many of them. I even considered trying to find just a really good raw card. And trying to get it that way so that at least at some point I can get it graded if and when I wanted to. So it took me a really long time to find something, but I did end up finding one for a 9. I can't remember how much I bought it for, but I felt like it was a good, reasonable price considering the population. So
nice. And you mentioned one of the best places to find stuff is yard sales, which people know if they're selling Pokemon in yard sales, at least the ones that Dustin and I have come across, they know what the market is for. At least they think they know. So you'll have binders of just garbage, and they want like $100 for it. Just like bulk cards, So they think they know. So that might be an interesting place. Like you might have to go. Like Grime finds on here, he says storage units would be a good place to go and find them. And then he also says there's a lot of huge car units full of cards all over the U.S. Check storage treasures, search cards. Okay, storage treasures.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've never done that, but I've heard a lot of really good stories. Not even just within, Pokemon collecting, but also for comic books, for example. Finding a lot of really good, nice nostalgia things in storage units. I've never done it. But
Do you collect certain comic books? Let's touch bases on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what would you what would you recommend that people like comic books in general? Like what are something that people need to look out for when, let's say, Dustin and I are at a yard sale and we find some comic books? What's something that stands out and be like, okay, this is actually worth something, and it's just not like wasting our time looking through the box of comic books?
Yeah, it's really tough with comics because there's so many out there. I think the one thing that I would, and this is something that's helped me when I'm looking at back issues at like my local, comic book store, is there is an app called Key Collector. Let me look really quickly Key Collector. This is what it looks like. This is the little logo.
Okay.
Anyways, it's really great because what it does is it indexes the key issues. And a key issue is usually the really important like issues that are actually worth money. So for example, Batman 1, Superman 1, those are key issues because those are first appearances of Batman and Superman. And we're talking about, I think Superman last sold for 3.2 million and Batman sold for around 2 million and was coming really close to the 3.2 million, which is, I believe, the record right now for comics.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're talking about a lot of money, and we're also talking about comics in very, very very old ones in very good condition. So if you're looking for, if you've got a stack and let's say you're looking at a particular series, what you want to do is just look for that series in Key Collector and it'll show you the key issues within that series. So if there were any first appearances that you want to kind of keep an eye out for, any special cover variants that you want to keep an eye out for that are short printed. One of the things with comic books, especially comic books in the 90s, is, you know, in the 90s, we were seeing a shit ton of sports cards. Well, we were also seeing a shit ton of comic books, and we're kind of starting to see a lot of printing in comic books right now as well. So, I mean, I think, you know, if you're looking at it from a collector perspective, the first and foremost thing I think is, you know, again, buy things that you like. But then if you're trying to kind of mediate that with like an investing or let me buy things of worth perspective, then look for key issues. So for example, for me, I really like to buy Dark Horse Star Wars comics. Because there's a lot of really interesting like legends stories that I really like and I've been, you know, literally reading and enjoying. But there's also a lot of really awesome key issues as well that you can find there. So for example, the first appearance of Revan, you know, the first appearance of Malik, all of that really cool backstory. I don't know how nerdy y'all are. When
I'm pretty nerdy, like, but I'm not that nerdy. Mm-mm. I know who the people that you're talking about are. That's pretty. That's deep in the weeds.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of, you know, Star Wars person that I am. There's a lot of legends stories that I really enjoy that I hope potentially, you know, can make some kind of callback or resurgence in the new Disney Star Wars. But even let's say, for example, more recent Star Wars, Clone Wars, right? The Clone Wars series also had a comic book series that I don't really have much of because I only recently came upon it within the last 12 months. And, you know, for example, the first appearance of Ahsoka. When the Ahsoka series came out, the prices for the first appearance of Ahsoka shot up like crazy. Actually, what's really cool is I bought the first issue of Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel. And so Miss Marvel is just a character that's been around for a really long time. And then so we have a new resurgence of Miss Marvel, but portrayed by Kamala Khan, you know. So she has a show coming out in the Marvel TV verse. And I originally bought that comic, I want to say, for like $130. I just wanted to get it because it was cool. It was Kamala Khan. I haven't read that series yet, but I do want to at some point. It's the first issue, which typically, you know, because it's a first appearance again, it's a key issue, right? It's a first appearance of Kamala Khan, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And I have it graded at a 9.8. And I got it at like for $130, I want to say. This was like about a year and a half ago. And then when that TV show got announced, it jumped to like 300. So I mean, that was just something that I bought purely because I wanted to, because I wanted to support those stories. But yeah, that just kind of happened to grow, which was really great. So, you know, if you do buy things that you like, you can, you know, you possibly end up getting something that grows. I mean, for example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when that comic first came out back in the day, I mean, those comics are worth thousands of dollars. Yeah, the really dark
those are
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Is that a Dark Horse comic or was it?
I don't know. I can't remember. It's definitely, I want to say it's an independent publisher, but right. I don't know to be true. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's good. So the app is called Key Quest?
Key Collectors. Key
Collectors. Okay. Yeah. That's some really good info. That's really good value for sure. Yeah. So that and we'll have time to talk about this for sure. So let's talk about collecting and investing in Fortnite cards.
Yes. Okay.
So let's talk about that, Jess. So for the people that don't know, Fortnite is currently in Series 2, correct? Series 3 has not released. I feel like I can't really find any information of Panini, like when it's coming out or what's going on with that. So
that's not how they roll.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I know that you're into that world. So just give us the cliff notes here. Let us know for someone that, let's say Dustin and I we're at a yard sale, or we're looking for Pokemon cards and we stumble upon Series 2. Like, should we keep it sealed? Should we open it? Should we look for that Series 2? It doesn't have is it the Ice King and the Ice Queen in Series 2?
Yeah, those I think the Ice King was in Series 1 and the Ice Queen was in Series 2. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
Something like that. But yeah. So the lowdown on Fortnite is, if you do see it sealed out there in the wild, keep it sealed, because it's not worth. I mean, it's fun opening. The pull rates for Series 2 was a lot better compared to Series 1. But I kind of feel that, I mean, again, going back to my number one rule is don't rip sealed product, and don't find a reason to rip it.
Because we'll find a reason.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So just don't do it. Just don't even go there with yourselves. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I feel like buy sealed product. And if there are specific cards that you're chasing, just buy the card, right? Because when we look back at the history of how things have kind of ended up in terms of value, I mean, what have been some of the biggest values in Pokemon? Sealed first edition booster boxes. Like, keep that shit sealed. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, even for, the non-base set boxes. I mean, honestly, I think some of them are probably a little undervalued, maybe shadowless, at least my opinion. But yeah, I would, if you find Series 2 or Series 1 in the wild, you're not going to find Series 1 in the wild unless it's at some kind of card shop, secondhand sold, for a pretty penny. You'd probably get it for a pretty penny. But if you find Series 2 at some kind of retailer, I would buy it and I would keep it sealed. But if you buy it from Walmart or Target, I would check to see if it's not resealed, is one thing I would be wary of. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's been a lot with Pokemon cards and some with Magic the Gathering, but what they'll do is they'll buy it, open it up, reseal it, return it. They put it back on the shelves, knowing, none the wiser. So,
well, I thanks to you, I have several Series 2 fat packs that are sitting in a Tupperware container right now. And then after I bought my last, every time I would go into Walmart, they had a stock, and I would get like a couple or two, 1 or 2 packs. And then the next day they were like all gone. So I don't know if someone just went in there and bought them all, because I'm like, okay, these aren't going anywhere because they've been sitting for a while. So it's like I'm buying like 1 or 2 and just, not like going crazy. But then I guess someone cut onto it and then end up buying all of them, So what are some of, if let's say the hot cards, the Charizards of Fortnite, like, could you tell us what those are and what what the market is paying for them right now?
Yeah. So when it comes to kind of like the Holy Grail right now, it's going to be the Black Knight, Crystal Shard, or Hollow Shard. Those foil cards, those hollow versions of the Black Knight that came out of the Series 1. He's, that card is reigned king. I mean, we're talking about the biggest record sales. Recently, we have been seeing a big retrace, and to be honest, I can't remember the numbers at this point in time. I know at one point, graded versions of those cards sold for something like $35,000, and it's retraced a lot in the past few months. I think I can't remember what the sale was. So that's probably. I mean, I wouldn't call it a crash. It was probably more true to the price of that card. Yeah, I would probably say it's a correction, just because influencers out there have talked about the Black Knight card, and they've talked about how, for example, it's $100,000 card, and someone who's got a lot of discretionary income that is looking to find these cards, $30,000 seems like a steal. But I think those prices, there's a lot of future pricing put into those prices, because, for example, I've got the entire Series 1 promo set graded, except for the Dante card that came out with the promo Series 2 set, but it's still a part of the Series 1 technically. And that's a set that's probably at some point worth $20,000, probably. But but obviously there's a lot of future pricing wrapped into that. So if I were to put that on the market right now for that price, it would probably take a while for that to actually sell. Just because it's still really new, and there's still not much price history. So some of the prices that we are seeing seem a little, I don't want to say necessarily, I guess maybe the closest thing I can say is maybe not quite justifiable. But again, at the end of the day, someone was willing to buy the card. So
that's true.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Black Knight is definitely the biggest one. One thing that, and I don't know if we have any Fortnite gamers, but Fortnite gamers, I think, have a huge advantage compared to someone like me who is in Fortnite, just because they know the skins that were really popular from actually playing the game. And so when we started to see really strange movements in the market where these random skins, like for example, the Peely skin, which I found out is like a meme skin where people, like typically those players,
and that's the banana.
That aren't that good. Yeah, that's the banana. That's the banana
okay.
one.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So when these kinds of like random skins started popping up and growing in value and going for just more in general, that's when we started to see a little bit more of the gamer population coming into the market, buying those skins. Because one of the things that I've asked my guests that I've had on, and I've had on a few Fortnite gamers, and I plan to have on many more, they go by what they liked and what they thought was popular when they were actually playing the game. Someone like me, I just buy the things I think are cool. And so we have instances where the Ice Queen, who is selling for over $100 at one point, I believe, I don't know where it is right now, but at some point selling for like 100, 120 for her crystal shard. It's a random skin in the opinion or from the perspective of a gamer, that crap makes no sense at all, because she was not popular. She was not a popular skin for gamers to play with. So there's a very interesting dynamic between the gamer sides of the market and the non-gamer sides of the market. So I think gamers who haven't gotten into Fortnite have a real advantage even right now, because they kind of know what skins are going to pop up in the future and are building positions on that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a crazy.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So for the people that have not invested in Fortnite cards, I think that's long term a pretty good investment. At least let's hope, right?
Never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think something too that I want to kind of bring up, because like what you were saying, there is so little information on Fortnite. So I want to try and like give what I know. When it comes to Fortnite cards, you also want to make sure that you're looking at the printing, where it was printed. Is it a US print or is it an Italy print? And it shows on the back of the card. It literally says, I think, printed in USA or printed in Italy.
But it's still, they're all English cards. They're just printing.
They're all English.
In different. Okay.
Yeah, and they're slightly different. I think the Italian, and I don't have any Italian cards, so I am not incredibly educated on spotting differences other than the actual like literal print on the back end. But I think it's a more narrow card, and then some of the foils look slightly noticeably different. But the US print cards are right now going for astronomically more than the Italian print cards. Back in Marchish, when I was looking at the markets for example, the sealed boxes, at that time, they seemed, for the Italian boxes, the mega boxes that had those special crystal shards, those 2 cards inside of those boxes, those were going for something like $200, $400 compared to their US print counterparts, which are going for, close to $3,000, which is really interesting to me. And so it seemed like there was a little bit of some undervalue Because when you're looking at, okay, well, what are the true differences between the two? From what I know, all the cards are the same and all the pull rates are the same. So it's still freaking hard to pull a Black Knight. So if you do get a Black Knight Italian print, you still have a worthy card. It's still worthy. So I think the Italian prints are a little bit underrated in my opinion. And I've seen the difference between the two be described as like a rubber band. You know, when we see the price differences between a PSA 10 and a PSA 9, and so when you go to a PSA 9, the value drops crazy. Like it's crazy. Well, it's kind of like a rubber band being stretched and it gets to a point where it snaps back. You will tend to see, you know, corrections in the market where those prices are a little bit closer to each other. So I think you know, if they haven't started increasing in price already, I think they probably would. I don't know to what degree they will get to in terms of percentage compared to the value of the U.S. print sealed boxes, but I think there's some money to be made there.
Nice. That's some great information. Great information.
Yeah.
So, Jess, the last thing that I have here, because we've almost have you for an hour, which we do appreciate your time. And I wanted to touch base on this because I know that you've been working super hard on this. Let's talk about your what would you say, passion project? You know, of yours is Cardfolio.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Cardfolio.
Yeah. So it's definitely a passion project because to get that shit off the ground is a lot of hard work. So you got to really care. So being in the community for a few years now in hobby collectibles in general, and me being the kind of collector that I am, where I have like a spreadsheet. I literally have a spreadsheet of as much as I'm willing to put in there as possible, you know, my most valuable stuff. And recent sales for those items, just to get an idea of, you know, what the collection is worth. It's really tough to maintain, and it is a lot of freaking work to stay up to date. So what I decided to do is I decided to build something essentially for myself, and thinking, well, I'm surely I'm not the only collector out there that does these things, that's kind of neurotic like that about their collection. You know, I'm hoping to pretty much serve collectors and provide them more resources to, you know, make collecting easy. So the point of Cardfolio is first and foremost, it's pretty much a card inventory management system. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to scan your card, it identifies the card, and it adds it to your virtual binder. And then at that point, you know, you can see how much you have in terms of raw cards, slabs. You will be able to put sealed product in there too. You know, I don't know that I'll make it that piece of it scannable, but anyways, so with that said, you have an inventory management system. What I'd like to do with that piece of functionality is I'd like to kind of use it like the PSA set registry, where if you're chasing a master set of something, you can set that as a goal, and then you know exactly what cards you need to reach that goal. And so you can kind of keep it filed on your phone in the app. So if you go to, I mean, usually when people are collecting, usually they have it in their head exactly what they need for, like, you know, their Shadowless master set, right? Yeah. But sometimes it's just easier to not have to memorize it and just keep a list of it, and this will catalog it for you. So if you're at a garage sale or, you know, at a card show and you're looking for some cards, you can look for exactly what you're looking for on the app itself. The second part of it that I think is where a lot of people really come in is the investment side of it. So grabbing eBay data or sales data in general and being able to, as accurately as you can, be able to, you know, value a card and see that over time. You know, what's my ROI for, you know, for that card at this moment in time? How much growth have I seen in the last 7 days? How much growth have I seen in the last 30 days? Or, you know, how much growth have I seen year over year for those items? And being able to look at it kind of as an investment portfolio, where you see your level of, you know, your exposure between, you know, raw cards, slab cards, and sealed product. And you can kind of see that from a purview so that you can then sort of make decisions if you need to balance things out here or there. Because if you truly look at it from an investment perspective, those things are really important because you want to limit your exposure. So those are just a few of the things that I'm hoping that I'll have it be able to do.
That's awesome. I can't wait for that. That definitely sounds
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, because we were just at a card store yesterday, and we were looking at full art trainers. And Dustin's like, "Man, I wish I would have brought my binder so I can remember which ones I don't have."
You have,
yeah. So it's like just from a push of a button. Now, is this going to be like a free thing? Because I would pay for this app for sure.
Yeah. So I don't have a pricing model set up yet, but for a lot of the functionality, it's probably going to be paid at a certain level. I'm trying to really figure out what I can do for a free tier. It's just really, it's going to be interesting to work out from a technical perspective because it will cost money to maintain. But I'm going to work on that. And hopefully get some feedback from people that will actually use it. So what I would say is if you guys want to, or if any of the listeners are interested in keeping up to date, and also being able to, once I have something tangible to show and kind of for people to try and kind of get a hold of, alpha or beta versions. If you want to join my early access list, I can send a link. Hit me up on Instagram if you want that, or I can share a link. It's no big deal, and we'll keep you guys up to date.
Nice. So if you guys want to do that, make sure to follow Jessica on the Geeked Out Collecting podcast on Instagram. Shoot her a DM, and she'll get that to you when she can. So so thank you so much, Jess, for coming on. Thank you so much for your time. So just anything overall, just anything else that you would like to say to the people, Jess?
I guess when it comes to collecting, I mean, guys, don't fall to FOMO. Don't do it. Don't buy with FOMO and don't sell with FOMO, because I feel like we've been seeing a lot of that. Let's buy really high and then get scared and then sell it for a loss. Don't do that. Don't do that. Buy what you like. Set a budget that is reasonable for you, each month, and then build a strategy based on those two things. So
yeah. I think now, especially me, I'm getting to a point to where, like, for instance, the new Pokemon set is coming out, Chilling Reign, and it's got some really, really nice cards in there. But I think I'm just gonna go out and just purchase the card straight up.
Yeah,
maybe buy some sealed stuff to keep in the collection, but not rip as many stuff. I've learned the hard way, big time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so that'll be really great. What cards are you kind of?
I like the Blaziken. The Blaziken alternate art is a good one that I want to collect. And then there is a Galarian Slow Bro alternate art by there's the illustrator. I can't remember his name. Takosim. I don't know. He's like one of my favorite illustrators for the Pokemon TCG. So I really like that artwork, and those are really. Oh, and the gold shiny Snorlax.
I want that more. Is that Moltres?
The Moltres.
That one. Yeah, that's a good one.
So there's some good ones in there for sure. I just got done doing a pretty good sports card trade to Pokemon, so I'm good on that stuff. But Jessica, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. Dustin, do you have any other further questions for Jess that you can think of right off the top of your head?
I got nothing. I think we hit everything.
There's a lot of really good information that you shared with us. So for the people that want to follow you, Jess, listen to your podcast, where can they find you? I know I got your link tree down in the description below, so hook that up for sure. But if just to tell the people.
Yeah, for sure. You can hit me up on Instagram at the Geeked Out Collecting _ between all of that. But you can hit me up there. I also have a YouTube with the corresponding name. Just type in Geeked Out Collecting. And I do have a TikTok, but I don't really use it that much. But if you're there, go ahead, follow me.
There you go. follow. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Another fantastic episode of This Week in Reselling. And that does it. That does it. So, my name is Ray.
My name's Dustin.
And her name is...
I'm Jess. Sorry.
Jess.
I'm Jess.
You're fine. Yeah, I always forget to tell people that it's like that's where they were close out. So, thank you so much for following. And make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on all our social media. All of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast This Week in Reselling. And yeah, that's it. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. See y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Stay on for a sec, Jess.